Well, all right, all right. Shalom, shalom to everyone out there. Shalom. Especially to the Most High's 1/3 of elect out there. Shalom. Also, to all the sincere brothers and sisters out there who's doing the work of the Most High, who's spreading His truth with all faith, truth, due diligence, and sincerity. To all of our people out there with eyes to see, ears to hear, and a mind to understand. Shalom. All right, so let's get this started by giving all honor, thanks, praise, and glory to our Heavenly Father and His only begotten Son, in which is the Most High, and His Son Christ, and who this world in society foolishly and ignorantly deems Jesus. This is your brother Yahweh Yasharal from the sea souls of Israel, the rocks of offense, and also the ambassadors for righteousness, the restorers of paths, and the repairers of the breach. Once again, dropping y'all another video. So brothers and sisters, what this video is going to be about solely, as you can see on my screen here, is concerning salt and the importance and the significance of consuming salt on a daily basis, right? Now, I'll say that to say this, I'm not saying to consume too much salt, but there's a certain level of salt or milligrams of salt that our body need on a daily basis, right? And the reason why I say that also is because from a recent conversation that I had with someone concerning salt, this person was telling me that their doctor was telling them that it's actually bad for us to consume salt at all on a daily basis. And the person's doctor was telling them that if we was to do that, which is consume salt on a daily basis, that it can be bad for our health, right? So basically what the doctor was telling that person is salt is detrimental to your health, right? And I totally beg to differ with that, because salt is a natural mineral and element of the earth. God Himself created salt, right? So I was telling him, I said, well, how can He say something like this? And God Himself created salt. Salt comes from the sea, right? You can even find some salt in caves, right? And I was telling him, I said, if you were to do your research on salt, it's actually beneficial for our health. This is something that our body needs on a daily basis. Now, there are certain salts out there that our body need and certain salts that our body shouldn't, consume on a daily basis, which is sodium. But there's a certain salt with a certain mineral in salt that we need on a daily basis that helps our body function normally, right? And this is what I was telling them. And I said, if you do your research, you will come to find that, and a lot of people, they like to confuse salt with sodium, right? As you can see on my screen here, people like to use that interchangeably, right? Now, I was telling him, I was saying maybe he was meaning that our bodies won't function as it should if we have too much sodium in our system instead of salt. Sodium is what's bad for your health, not the salt. Especially if you have iodine salt, right? That's a necessity nutrient that our body needs, right? Even if you go into the supermarket, you will see on certain salts that have iodine in it, and it's written on the side of it, it says a necessary nutrient that your body needs, right? So that's what I was telling him. I was saying maybe he was using salt and sodium interchangeably, right? And maybe he could have been banking on your ignorance, meaning that you probably didn't know the difference between what salt and sodium is, right? This is why the scriptures tell us to show ourselves approved by studying, right? And that doesn't necessarily only mean with the scriptures, that means with every single thing. And the scriptures also tells us to be not ignorant in any matter, right? Any matter, all right? That's inside of the scriptures and outside of the scriptures, right? So as you can see here, as I have on my screen, it says the difference between salt and sodium, okay? And as it says here, salt refers to the crystal-like chemical compound sodium chloride, while sodium refers to the dietary mineral sodium, okay? So this, like I was saying, there's a difference between salt and sodium, right? And people like to use that interchangeably, and which confuses the masses. So they're actually out there thinking that actual salt is bad for you instead of sodium, right? And then in parentheses, it says, which is a component of sodium chloride. The difference is, okay, sodium is found in food, either naturally or manufactured into processed foods, right? And then as it says here, it's written May 19th this year. So, of course, most people out there, especially the ones who's health conscious, they understand that processed foods is very detrimental to your health, right? So as you go down, it says, is salt and sodium the same thing? And then it says the words table salt and sodium are often used interchangeably, right? Just like I said before, a lot of people like to confuse salt with sodium, but they're two totally different things, right? And then it says, but they do not mean the same thing, all right? Table salt, in parentheses, also known by its chemical name, sodium chloride, is a crystal-like compound that is abundant in nature, okay? So salt, it naturally occurs in nature. This is just like I was saying before, the Most High created salt, man. Okay, so how can someone tell you that something that the Most High created is bad for you, right? That your body's supposed to consume on a daily basis, right? And then it says here, sodium is a mineral and one of the chemical elements found in salt. One of the chemical elements found in salt. Okay, so sodium itself isn't salt. It's also letting you know that there, right? And then here's another question that says, which is worse, salt or sodium? Right? Let's click on to that. And it says, salt is a chemical compound made up of sodium and chloride. And in actuality, it's the sodium that's really detrimental to your health, all right? And this is written way back in March 12, 2016. So obviously, there's some truth to this because it haven't been changed, right? So right here, it's letting you know that it's the sodium that's bad for your health, not the salt, all right? So just like I was saying, a lot of people confuse salt with sodium, man. But the only thing that you got to do is just do a little research, do your due diligence, man. Just like the scripture says, you have to do your due diligence in these things, man, right? And then it says here, which is healthier, salt or sodium? All right, let's click on to this. Though there are many different types of salt, okay, just like you can go into your local market or whatever, you're going to see all these different types of salt, right? They all contain roughly the same amount of sodium. This means that no salt actually healthier than another, all right? And then it says right here, do we need sodium or salt? And then right here it says, your body needs sodium for normal muscle and nerve functions, right? So right here, this as it says up here, this is a prime example. As it says here, the words table salt and sodium are often used interchangeably, right? And then right here, it says it's the sodium that's really detrimental to your health, right? So this is a contradiction here as it's written here. Your body needs sodium for normal muscle and nerve functions, right? So why would it say your body needs sodium instead of salt, right? So this is where the confusion comes in, right? Because people use salt and sodium interchangeably, right? So when they're actually talking about salt, they will put sodium, right? And then that will make the masses think that they're talking about sodium, but they're actually talking about salt. This is a prime example of double talk, right? So this is the reason why you got to do your due diligence, man. But really right here, it's referring to salt, not sodium, right? As it says, your body needs sodium for normal muscle and nerve functions. It also helps keep the body fluids in balance. Most table salts are made from sodium chloride. So how can salt be made from sodium chloride when sodium chloride is actually a normal occurring minimum in salt, right? So you see where the confusion comes in, right? So salt used when preparing or flavoring foods usually contain sodium. Okay. So that's where the confusion comes in at, man. Where the salt and sodium is being used interchangeably, man, right? And then it's saying that salt is a product of sodium. Well, in actuality, sodium is a mineral of salt. Okay. And then it says here, can you get sodium without salt? And then if you feel guilty reaching for that salt shaker, you're not alone. Sodium chloride, the scientific name for table salt, okay, has gotten its share of criticism in the last few years. While you do not need sodium in your diet, you don't need to add salt to food to get it, all right? So that's letting you know that sodium naturally occur in certain foods, man, especially processed meats, right? So that's what's bad for your health, not the salt, okay? So, if you're ever doing the research on this right here, you can actually go down and check it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? You have all of these suggestion questions here that people would normally ask, right? But what I mainly wanted to point out is there's a difference between salt and sodium, okay? And the reason why our body needs salt is because it has a necessary nutrient that our body need, okay, to function normally, right? Which is iodine, okay? And we're going to get into that right here. Okay, so this is iodide, which is also known as iodine. And as it says here, iodine most important role is to ensure proper thyroid function. All right. It helps to regulate the producing of the thyroid hormones, right? Thyroxine, which is T4, and triiodothyroxine, all right, which is T3. And then it also says getting enough iodine or iodine is essential for preventing low thyroid hormone production and hypothyroidism. Okay, so, if people done the research on this, which is hyperthyroidism or hypothyroidism, that's a balance or an imbalance between your hormones. Your thyroid, which is located in your neck area, that's what produces your thyroid, and your hormones is what it controls your moods, right? It controls your swings, your mood swings, right? Your moods of your body, of your attitude, of your thinking, right? So as it says here, people also ask, what does iodide do for the body? The body needs iodine to make thyroid hormones, all right? So that's what's in salt, which is iodine or iodide, right? This is something that your body needs, okay? It's naturally occurring in salt, okay? These hormones control the body's metabolism, okay, which is your weight control, all right, and many other important functions. The body also needs thyroid hormones for proper bone and brain development, right, during pregnancy and infancy, all right, written March the 22nd, 2001. So actually having iodine or iodine, which is naturally occurring in salt, can be beneficial to you if you're a woman that's pregnant, all right? It helps with the development of your baby, of your infant, right? So this is how important salt is to us, man. And then it says, do humans need iodide, right? The human body needs iodine to make thyroid hormones during fetal development, okay, which is a woman who's pregnant, right? Or infancy, which is a very young baby, right? And childhood. Thyroid hormones is essential, all right, for the brain and nervous system to develop normally, Okay, so even your young baby have to have iodine. All right, not sodium. All right, you got to have the salt with the iodine in it. Okay, too little iodine, meaning, you're barely eating salt in your diet or no salt at all, right? And thus, too little thyroid hormone can lead to mental retardation. Do you see this right here? So if you're not having enough salt in your diet with iodine in it, especially your young infant, this can lead to mental retardation, man. Dwarfism, okay? Hearing loss. Do you see this right here? Hearing loss and other problems just from simply not having salt in your diet, man. Right? So this stuff right here is very, very serious. Right? So this is what I was stressing to the person. I was saying, I beg to differ if you don't have salt in your body, because this is something that your body naturally needs on a daily basis, man. Right? This is crazy right here. Too little iodine and thus too little thyroid hormone, in which is produced from your thyroid from the iodine, right, can lead to mental retardation, dwarfism, meaning that he's going to be very short, right? Or her, either one, right? Male or female. Hearing loss, meaning that you're going to have hearing problems and other problems, man, right? What are the 3 advantages of iodine, right? 11 uses of iodine. Promoting thyroid health. Iodine plays a vital role in thyroid health, a vital role, right? Reducing risk of some goiters, right? So the goiter, if you do your research on what a goiter is, it's when you have a swelling around your thyroid in your neck. You have like a bulge in your neck, right? Number 3, managing overactive thyroid gland. That's like I was saying before with the hyperthyroidism or the hypothyroidism, right? When you have too much hormones being produced in the hyper, and then you have too little in the hypo, right? Treating thyroid cancer. So even if you develop cancer in your thyroid, just normally eating salt with iodine in it can treat your thyroid cancer, man. Neurodevelopment during pregnancy, just like I was saying before, it helps your baby have a normal brain development, right? When they're a fetus or when they're an infant, right? Improving cognitive function, okay, meaning your mind, your brain, your thought, your thinking, right? Improving birth rate may help treat fibrocystic breast disease. So all of these benefits right here, man, that just normally eating salt can be for you, right? So all of this right here is proof that our bodies, man, as human beings, need salt on a daily basis, man. The salt that's containing iodine, man, right? And then another question right here is asked, what is a good source of iodide, right? Which is iodine. And then it says iodine is found mainly in animal protein foods and sea vegetables, and to the lesser extent in fortified foods like breads, cereals, and milk, okay? So of course that's from like the salt that's being put into these foods, right? And then they have the examples down here. It says seaweed, all right, and which is fish and shellfish. Okay, now, according to the Most High's dietary law, which is written in the book of Leviticus chapter 11, in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 14, we're not to be consuming any shellfish, right? No shrimp, no lobster, no crab, no mussels, none of that stuff, man. And also seaweed, we're not to eat any kind of weed, right? Weeds are bad for you, man, right? Even the seaweed. That's the reason why it's called a seaweed, right? Because it's a weed. It's unclean, man, right? And then you also have with the tuna. The tuna is an unclean fish, That fish doesn't have any scales on it. Okay, no overlapping scales. It's a smooth-bodied fish. So a lot of brothers and sisters, they don't even know that, but tuna fish is actually unclean, right? And then you even have some unclean codfish. There's different many species of codfish. So all codfish aren't clean for you, right? So if you can find like a certain species of cod, then it's all good, because there are clean codfish out there. All right. And then of course it says below that, table salts labeled iodized, okay, meaning you have to have the iodine in the salt, all right? And then you have the dairy, which is the milk, cheese, and yogurt. And then you have eggs, right? Now, me personally, I don't eat eggs, right? But, you still have some people out there that do. But, I've read somewhere that, eggs is undeveloped. According to the biblical scriptures, is unclean because it's undeveloped, right? Now, I know according to the book of Job, it's written in there that, people eat the whites of eggs, right? But me personally, I would rather just stand clear of it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's still an undeveloped mammal, right? But, some people, for the people that does eat it, they can eat it, right? And then, of course, you have your beef liver. Now, me personally, also, I wouldn't eat liver because the liver is like the body's filtering system. So I wouldn't eat liver, right? And then, of course, below that, you have chicken, as you can see here. Now we're talking. I can stick with that, right? But, a majority of these things here, which is supposedly good sources for iodine or iodide, you really not supposed to eat if you're keeping a biblical clean diet, man, right? Or a scriptural clean diet, as I could say, which is the dietary law. All right, so that's the benefits of iodine, which is naturally found in salt, something that we should be eating on a daily basis. So, just like I was telling the brother, I said, I beg to differ because, I don't know if he's using salt and sodium interchangeably, but we're supposed to be eating salt on a daily basis, man. And the only thing that you have to do is do your research. Do your research on salt and see how benefit it is for us, man. Beneficial, right? So like I said before, we're going to relate this to the scriptures, man. And what I want to go to is in the book of 1 Timothy chapter 2. As a matter of fact, let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 2, right? Just like a scripture that I've quoted earlier in the video, right? How you got to study to show thyself approved, okay? Which is right here in the book of 2 Timothy chapter 2. And we're going to go down to verse 14. As you can see on my screen here. Of these things, put them in remembrance, charging them before the Most High, right? That they strive not about words to no profit. Okay, so it don't make no sense to go back and forth with your doctor, who's telling you that salt is bad for you. And what he really means in actuality is sodium is bad for you. But just like I said, maybe they're banking on your ignorance, that you're not doing your due diligence and studying what's actually good for your body, rather than just listening to them and going off word of mouth with them, right? To keep you coming back into their office and spending your insurance money, right? So really, at the end of the day, that's what it's really all about, man. You know what I'm saying? They just want to keep on tagging your insurance, getting rich off your insurance and your bad health and your ignorance, right? So just like it says right here, man, verse 14. Of these things, put them in remembrance, charging them before the Most High, that they strive not about words to no profit, but to the subverting of the hearers, okay? So this is what this video is being made for, man. It's being made for the hearers, the ones who's going to hearken on to this and take heed to this, right? And know that you got to do your due diligence, man. You just can't take your so-called doctor's word for it. You know, this because you see all the credentials on his wall or whatever. You might see a PhD in this or a master's in this right here. And then, you know, you automatically think, okay, well, this guy must know what he's talking about. But, you know, much knowledge comes evil also with that too, man. Okay, so just because some people may know this and that and they may be very intellectual in certain matters doesn't mean that they can't be wicked and evil too, right? And covetous. Okay. But to the subverting of the hearers. So, you know, hopefully that this video is edifying for most of the people that's listening, right? And as it says here, study to shew thyself approved unto the most high power, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Okay, what's the word of truth? Well, starting for number one, these scriptures, man, you know, the Bible. This is the word of truth, man, right? And then also concerning the video that I'm doing now is how salt is very beneficial for you, right? As I've just shown to you and proved to you, you know, that salt is actually a very beneficial thing to the body, man, right? Especially if it's iodized, all right? We're not talking about those cheap salts without the iodine, right? You have to have the salt with the iodine in it, man, right? Let's go to the book of St. John, chapter 8. And we're going to jump down to verse 31. So for all of those who's been following me for quite some time now, you know, this is one of my favorite scriptures to go to, which is in the book of St. John, chapter 31, right? And of course, as it reads, then said Hamashiach to those Jews which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed, okay? And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. All right, so this is what the truth is going to do, man, especially concerning salt. The truth is going to make you free, man. All right. So you're not going to be in a predicament where you have to listen to your doctors or nurses or whatever, or your caretakers telling you that you shouldn't consume salt on a daily basis. All right. And when that's actually detrimental to your health, when you don't consume salt on a daily basis, you have to have a certain level or milligram of salt on a daily basis in order for your body to function normally, you know, namely your thyroid. Okay. And as I just showed to you, you know, it's good for your brain. Okay. It's good for brain development in infants and fetuses. Okay. It's good for your muscles. It's good for your cardiovascular, right? So it's good for all of these things, man, right? In continuation, let's go to the book of Sirach, chapter 5, which is in the book of Apocrypha, by the way. All right, so in the book of Sirach, chapter 5, and we're going to go down to verse 10, and it reads, be steadfast in thy understanding, and let thy word be the same. Verse 12. And if thou hast understanding, answer thy neighbor. Okay, so this is basically what I'm doing right now, because I have the understanding, the true understanding of how we need salt on a daily basis, right? I know it's beneficial to our body, you know, namely our thyroid, okay? You know, for our hormonal imbalance, so to speak, right? So as it says here again, verse 5 from the top, 12, Salaki, in the book of Sirach, chapter 5. If thou hast understanding, answer thy neighbor. If not, lay thy hand upon thy mouth. Okay, so if I didn't have any understanding of this, then I wouldn't be making this video, right? Let's jump down to verse 15. Be not ignorant of anything. All right, so just like I said before in the beginning of this video, we're not supposed to be ignorant of anything, mainly the scriptures, right? If you call yourself a so-called Negro, Hispanic, Native American, or a Seminole Indian of Negroid descent, right? If you call yourself following the scriptures, you believe in the scriptures, you believe in the Most High God of Israel, the one and only true power in his son, Hamashiach, the Christ of Nazareth, right? Then this is what you're going to do. You're going to follow these scriptures. And not only that, you're going to take this attitude to other things as well, right? So this is the reason why it says, be not ignorant of anything in any great matter or small, okay? So this right here could be considered a great matter because this is concerning your health. Or if you're healthy and you just want to stay healthy, this can be considered a small matter, all right? And which can turn into a big matter if you ignore it, all right? If you're going around thinking that you're not supposed to be consuming a certain level of salt on a daily basis, man. So this is the reason why it says this here. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small, okay? Now, let's jump to the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 4. So this is what this is all about, man. This is about doing your due diligence, doing your study, right? And doing your own review of certain things, man. You know, especially when it's concerning your health, man. You know, you're basically putting your life in another man's hands when you're taking their word for it. You know what I'm saying? Thinking that they're going to tell you the whole truth and nothing but the truth, right? Especially when money's involved, right? So once again, as you can see on my screen, in the book of 1 Timothy chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse 1, and it reads, Now the Spirit speaketh expressly, that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits, okay, and doctrines of what? Devils, okay, deceivers, people who's telling you lies, right? The ones who's telling you that you don't need to consume salt on a daily basis. It's bad for your health, right? But they're going to turn around and tell you that you can consume black pepper, all right? And black pepper is like one of the number one causes of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, hypertension, death, strokes, heart attacks, right? Kidney failure, okay? Verse 2, speaking what? Lies and hypocrisy, okay? You say to be a doctor of health. You supposed to help people's health get better, all right? But you're proven to be a hypocrite because you're telling people that salt is bad for you, man, right? Verse 2 again from the top, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience, okay, their conscience seared within hot iron, all right? In which eventually will have your conscience sealed with a hot iron if you're listening to them, okay? If you're hearkening on to them only and not doing your own research, right? Let's go to the book of 2 Chronicles, chapter 11. As a matter of fact, you know what? Excellent. Let's go to the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 11. Right? And I'm going to jump down to verse 14. And it reads, And no marvel, For Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light, all right, which is, in other words, a messenger of truth. Okay. So this is what's going on, man. You trusting in some of these doctors. I'm not going to say all of the doctors, right? Because I want to believe that there are still some honest doctors out there. You know what I'm saying? But for a majority of the time, man, I mean, just from this example here, from the conversation that I was having with this person, and for them to tell him that salt is bad for you and that you should just X salt out of your diet completely. I mean, you can't be no more of a devil than that right there, man, right? So as it says here, and no marvel, like, don't be surprised, man, right? For Satan, which is also known as the devil, right? Which is a deceiver, okay? For Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light, which is a messenger of truth. Verse 15. Therefore, it is no great thing if his ministers, okay, the ones who's minister on to you, who you think that's telling you the truth, right? Not only concerning the scriptures, but in all other things too, right? Ministers also be transformed as the ministers of what? Righteousness, whose end shall be according to their works, their own works, all right? Meaning, you telling people all of these lies, man, and you don't know how someone's going to react. If you're telling them a lie, talking about that they don't need salt or they need to X salt out of their diet completely, and then their health just continue to deteriorate, they might get upset. They're going to say, yo, I mean, you telling me I should do this and do that, but it don't seem like I'm getting better. You know what I'm saying? So this person might get upset and throw a fit, and he might come into your office and shoot everything up in there. Might shoot you, which is the doctor, shoot your nurse, shoot your assistant, right? So I mean, you gotta be careful who you're lying to. I mean, you don't know how they're gonna react, man, right? So that's gonna be detrimental according to your own works, your own deception that you're feeding people, right? Also be transformed as ministers of righteousness, who end shall be according to their works. All right. Let's go to the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2. Okay, so as you can see on my screen here, we're in the book of 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 5, and it reads, Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. Verse 6, And now ye know that withholdeth that he might be revealed in his time. All right. Verse 7, For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. Okay, so that's talking about the Most High. He basically letting the wicked of the world control the world and rule over in the world until he be taken out of the way. And how he's going to be taken out of the way, that's when he's going to send Hamashiach back for his second coming to take the kingdom and reestablish the kingdom of heaven back on earth, right? Verse 8, And then shall the what? The wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. Okay, that's talking about Hamashiach, right? When he's going to be breathing those flames of fire and whirlwinds, which is tornadoes, right? And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Verse 9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, all right, which is the devil also, and also Lucifer, right? With all powers and signs and what? Lying wonders, okay? Verse 10. and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Okay, so this is what's going on today, man. A lot of people in this world are not receiving the truth with love. They actually lovers of lies, man. They want to be lied to. They want to live in a fantasy world, man. Okay, basically they want to remain in the matrix, so to speak, right? So this is why it says this here, man, in verse 10. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Verse 11. And for this call, the Most High Power shall send them strong delusion, okay, that they should believe a lie. All right, so if you're sent a strong delusion, then the wicked of the world, they can just throw you anything. They can lie to you and you're going to believe it. They're going to tell you things like you're not supposed to be eating salt. You know, it's bad for your health. And then the next thing you know, you're not going to be consuming salt at all. And then next, what's going to happen? You're going to have hypothyroidism, right? You're going to have inhormonal balance. Okay, your mood's going to be thrown off. You're going to be bipolar. Okay, amongst other things that's going to go wrong in your body, right? And for this cause, the Most High Power shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. Verse 12, that they all might be damned, okay, meaning doomed or destined for hell, okay, or hellish condition, right? Who believe not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Verse 13. But we are bound to give thanks always to the Most High for you, meaning that we're always going to give thanks and praise to the Most High, man, if you're hearkening onto our words, if you're hearkening onto the truth, right? Beloved brethren, beloved of the Lord of Hamashiach, right? Because the Most High Power have from the beginning chosen you to salvation through the sanctification of the Spirit and belief of the truth, all right? So only if you have a love for the truth and if you're operating through the Holy Spirit of the Most High, right, then you're going to be sanctified. You're going to be given sanctification and salvation from the second coming of Hamashiach, which is the Christ of Nazareth, right? Because the Most High Power have from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the Holy Spirit, but it's written Spirit here, right? And belief of the truth, all right? Only for the ones who love truth, right? Verse 14. Wherefore unto you he called you by our gospel to the obtaining of the glory of our Lord, which is Hamashiach, written here. Verse 15. Therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold the traditions which ye have been taught. What are those traditions? Those are the laws, statutes, and commandments of the scriptures, man, of the Most High, given through Moses, right, to the children of Israel, which is the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians of Negroid descent only, right? Verse 15 again from the top. Therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold the traditions which ye have been taught by the word, okay? By the word, not by the traditions of the world, not by the traditions of men or deceivers or doctrines of devils, okay? Not the traditions of Islam, which is Allah and Muhammad, not the traditions of Greco-Roman Catholicism, okay, which is worshiping Virgin Mary or Hail Mary, all right? Not the traditions of Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, okay, worshiping African ancestors, all right, your African ancestry worship, all right? We're not talking about the traditions of sororities and fraternities, okay, and these secret societies, all right? We're talking about the traditions of the word here, man, right? As it says here. Therefore, brethren, stand fast and hold the traditions which have ye been taught, all right? Or as it's written here, which ye have been taught, whether by word or our epistle. Okay? So in continuation, moving along, let's go back to the book of Sirach, chapter 29. Or as a matter of fact, you know what? There is something that I want to bring out. Let's go to 39 instead. 39, right? Kind of just flowing in the spirit here, right? So I guess you can say this is somewhat like an impromptu. Just like I said, this conversation that I had with this person was recent, so, I had to put this on the video to let our people know, man, that, this is a doctrine of devils that our people are following. So you have a lot of our people are going around not including salt, especially the salt with the iodine in their diet, man. And they're wondering why they falling sick, right? And then actually it's a known fact that salt, it fights against bacteria and certain viral infections, man, probably all viral infections, right? So, salt is definitely a very beneficial thing to have, man, right? So in the book of Sirach, chapter 39, and I'm going to go down to verse 24, right? I think that's what it is, 20. Okay, yeah. When I was looking at it, I was thinking about the saltiness, right? But this is also referring to a different thing. So, yeah, we're going to start at verse 24, right? It reads, as his ways are plain unto the holy, okay, which is the set apart ones, the ones who's keeping the law, statute, the commandment to the Most High, right? So are they stumbling blocks onto the wicked, okay, the devils of the earth, man, right? And also the so-called 2/3 of our nations, man, the ones who don't want to keep the laws of the Most High, right? The ones who's going around pushing a for everlasting grace doctrine, right? The laws are done away doctrine, right? We can live however we want. We can do whatever we want. We can eat whatever we want doctrine, right? So you're actually known as the wicked of the earth too, man, right? But there are a certain people that's the wicked of the world, and they're the ones that's controlling the world and oppressing our people globe wide, right? So as it says here again, as his ways, okay, the ways that's being spoken about here is the Most High, right, are plain unto the holy, so are they stumbling blocks onto the wicked. For the good are good things created, okay, for the good, meaning the good people, the ones who's keeping the law, statutes, the commandments of the Most High, man, right, who's believing in his one and only true son, Hamashiach, the Christ of Nazareth, right? For the good are good things created from the beginning, all right, the beginning of creation, man. So evil things for sinners. Verse 26, the principal things for the use of man's life are water, fire, iron, and what? Salt, okay? The principal things, okay? And you have salt written right here, man, right on the screen, right? And then also flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of grapes, okay? So this is not talking about actual literal blood like from animals. This is talking about the blood of grapes, man, which is like grape juice or wine, right? And oil, preferably the olive oil, right? Or you could say the word, okay? This is also known as the word, the truth of these scriptures here, man, right? And clothing, which is your garments, right? And then it also says here, all these things are good to the godly, okay? Once again, who's the godly? The ones that's keeping the law, statutes, the commandments of the Most High. The one who believe in the one and only true power and creator of all things, the God of Israel, man, which is Yasharal, which is of the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians of Negroid descent only, right? All things are good to the godly. So to the sinners, they are turned to evil. Okay, for the sinners, it's turned to evil. So just as it says here in verse 26, the principal things for the whole use of a man's life is written right here in the middle, salt. So to the evil and the sinners, it's turned into something evil. Okay, so they're going to tell you that salt is bad for you to consume on a daily basis, right? Your body can't take salt. It's going to give you high cholesterol, high blood pressure. It's going to give you a stroke, a heart attack. It's going to cause you to lose your kidneys, right? It's going to give you water problems, right? Now, just like I said before, don't get me wrong. If you have too much salt, yes, that can be bad for you because sodium is a element that's found in salt. So that's what's bad for you. It's the sodium that's in the salt that's going to be bad for you. All right. So if you have too much salt, of course, it's going to be detrimental to you, right? But at the end of the day, just like I said before, the salt is a natural occurring element in the earth. This is something that the Most High created. All right. So, of course, we know that you're supposed to do all things in moderation. Even if you have too much water, that can be detrimental to your health, right? Because it's going to deprive you of all your vitamins and minerals. Okay, so you can't even have too much water. So, of course, if you have too much salt, it's going to be bad for you. But you have to have a certain level of milligram of salt in your body on a daily basis, man, in order for it to function properly, right? So, as it says here again, verse 27, all these things are good or for the good to the godly. So to the sinners, they are turned into evil, right? So I brought out the scriptures here, man, that's concerning the things that we should be doing as a nation of people when we hear, something that's suspicious like this concerning salt and concerning our health, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into what the Bible actually says about salt, right? So as you can see on my screen here, it says Bible verses about salt. So as we stroll down here, this is basically going to let you know, according to the scriptures, that salt is very beneficial. It's created by the Most High. So this is something that we supposed to be having, man. Just like I said, on a daily basis, right? So this is the King James Version, by the way, right? And these are, numerous scriptures that has the word salt in it. Now, this is not to say that these are the only scriptures that have the word salt or contain the word salt in it. There's many other, but these are like key scriptures here to let us know that salt is very beneficial. It's considered to be very beneficial to us, right? Not only to us, but for the world itself also. It fights against germs, it fights against bacteria, it fights against viruses, okay, that makes us sick. Not only us sick, but the animals of the world sick too, right? It actually helps the environment also, right? So as it says in the book of St. Matthew, chapter 5, right? It says, ye are the salt of the earth. Okay, so who's the ye that's being referred to? That's the children of Israel, man, which is the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians of Negroid descent, right? But if the salt have lost his flavor, wherewith shall it be salted, right? It is for nothing, okay? So if it don't have no salt, it's good for nothing, right? So if right here, if the children of Israel is referred to as the salt of the earth, that's letting the people of the earth know, man, hey, without the children of Israel, I mean, this place would be nothing, man. We're the salt, we're the excitement of this place, right? We're the people that everyone look to copy off, man, right? So Matthew 5:13 again from the top. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its flavor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and trodden under foot of men. All right. So if the children of Israel lose its salt, then, what good are we? What benefit will we be to this earth, man? Right? What benefit will we be to other people? All right. We're not going to be considered a holy people, a set apart people, a people with special talents, man, with intelligence, okay? Words of wisdom and truth, all right? Let's go to Colossians here, chapter 4, verse 6. Let your speech be always with grace, seasoned with what? Salt, okay? That ye may know that ye ought to answer every man, okay? So you can't do that with your speech without being seasoned with salt, man. All right, with the truth, okay, with the wisdom, all right, with charisma, pizzazz, so to speak. All right, that ye may know how ye ought to answer every man. Okay, let's go to St. Matthew again, chapter 5, verse 13 and 16. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost its flavor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing but to be cast out and trodden under foot of men. Right? And then as it says here, we can read more. Ye are the light of the world, a city that is set on a hill that cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light, okay, which is wisdom and knowledge, okay, and which I'm doing right now, displaying the light of the oil that I have, right, to our people, to let our people know that, hey, you got to do your due diligence, man. You got to do your own study. Just don't take people word for face value, this because they're telling you that, salt can give you high blood pressure and high cholesterol and raise your chances for stroke and heart attack, okay, and cause you to lose your kidneys. But it's not actually the salt itself that's doing it. It's the sodium, which is the element of salt, that's doing it, right? Verse 15. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and give light unto all that are in the house. Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works. Okay, what is my good works? This video right here, man, right? And glorify your heaven, which is the most high power of Israel for the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians of Negroid descent. And glorify your Father, which is in Shamayim, which is heaven, eternal rest, right? So this is what I'm doing through this video, man. Even though it may not seem much to some people, you know what I'm saying? They may think, oh, it's just a video, but there's a lot of beneficial information in this video right here that I'm doing, man, right? And it's not as easy as it may seem. Like, some people think that they can actually just get up and do an hour-long video or an hour-and-a-half long video, and actually sound like you're making sense in the video. You're talking like you have some common sense and some actual knowledge that can benefit people, right? This is not an easy thing, man. Stuff like this actually takes a strong spirit, which is the Holy Spirit given through the Most High, to give you the knowledge and the power and the wisdom to do videos like this right here, man, right? In the book of St. Mark, chapter 9, salt is what? Good. Okay, salt is good, man. But if the salt have lost this saltiness, wherewith will ye season it? So what can you season it without salt, man, right? Salt is the ultimate flavor, man, right? Have salt in yourselves, okay? Have salt in yourselves and have peace with one another, meaning love one another, man, right? Well, how can you do that if you don't have no salt? Okay, just like I said, if you don't have no salt in your body with the iodine, then that's going to throw your hormonal balance off. Then you're going to have mood swings. You're going to be bipolar. You're going to be aggy all the time. You're going to be aggravated, agitated, right? Rage is going to rest in your bosom. Okay, and the scripture says, rage that resteth in the bosoms of fools. Okay, so that's what you're going to be considered. You're going to be considered a fool, man, because you're listening to that deceiving, lying doctor telling you that salt is bad for you. Now your health is deteriorating, right? You're out of whack. Your hormones is out of balance, right? You're lazy all the time, right? Your cognitive thinking ain't there. It's not there where it's supposed to be or how it used to be, right? Your wife might be pregnant and, her baby might come out, just like you said, mental retardation or whatever, right? Or the baby might not develop as it should because you don't have enough iodine in your system. You don't have enough salt in your system, right? Amongst other things, right? So this is why it says this here, man. Salt is good, but if the salt have lost this saltiness, wherewith will ye season it? Have salt in yourselves and have peace with one another, man. right? And then as it says in the book of St. Luke also, salt is good, but if the salt have lost its flavor, wherewith shall it be seasoned? Okay, and then you can read again, but to read more, right? So I'm just sort of kind of like breezing through this right here. You know what I'm saying? You can also check out all of the scriptures yourself that have the word salt in it, right? The book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 19. All the heave offerings of the holy things, okay, which the children of Israel, which is the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, and Seminole Indians of Negroid descent, right, offer unto the Most High Power, have I given thee and thy sons and thy daughters with thee by a statute forever. It is a covenant of salt, okay, a covenant of salt forever before the Most High Power unto thee, which is you, Israel, and thy seed with thee, which is your children, okay, which is your seed, short for seamen, right? Let's go to Mark again, verse 9, verse 49 in chapter 9, right? For everyone shall be salted with fire, and every sacrifice shall be salted with salt. Okay, so the sacrifices that you give unto the Most High, man, it got to be seasoned with salt, man, right? The book of Leviticus. And every obligation of thy meat offering shalt thou season with what? Salt. And neither shalt thou suffer the salt of the covenant of thy God be lacking, okay, meaning not there, not present, okay, not seasoned with salt, all right, or not having or possessing salt, all right. Neither shalt thou suffer the salt of thy covenant of thy power to be lacking from thy meat offering. With all thy offerings thou shalt what? Offer salt. Okay, so the Most High is playing. He's like, yo, man, you better put some salt on these sacrifices, man, right? Salt is important, man, okay? Don't listen to what your lying, deceiving doctor tell you, man, right? Verse 19, Salakia, verse 26 in chapter 19 of the book of Genesis. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. Now, what's the reason why she became a pillar of salt? Because she was being disobedient to the Most High, man. Okay, she wasn't listening to her husband. Her husband told her not to look back, but what did she did? She been disobedient, looked back, and then she turned into the pillar of salt, man, because she was being disobedient, man, right? Luke 14, salt is good, but if the salt have lost its flavor, wherewith should it be seasoned? Okay, so we already read that again. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 43. And thou shalt offer them before the Most High Power, and the priest shall cast what? Salt upon them, and they shall offer them up for a burnt offering unto the Most High Power. Okay. 2 Kings chapter 2. And he went forth unto the spring of the waters, and cast the salt in there, and said, thus saith the Most High Power, I have what? Healed these waters. Okay. Healed the waters, meaning just like I said before, salt, it actually kills bacteria, it kills viruses, right? So you will heal things when you put salt in it, right? And he went forth unto the springs of the waters, okay, the springs of the waters, like the water wells or whatever, right, that have the water in it, and cast the salt in there, and said, thus said the Most High Power, I have healed these waters, there shall not be from thence any more death or barren land, okay, meaning that the waters before he dumped the salt in there, it was killing people, man, all right, and it was destroying the land because it could have had certain bacteria and certain viruses in it, right? Let's go down to 2 Chronicles. Ought ye not to know that the Most High Power of Israel, which is Yasharal, right, gave the kingdom over Israel to David forever, even to him and to his sons by a covenant of what? Salt. All right. The book of Ezra, chapter 6. And that which they have need of, both young bullocks and rams and lambs, for the burnt offerings of the Most High Power of heaven, which is Shamayim, wheat and what? Salt. wine and oil, which is the olive oil, according to the appointment of the priests which are at Jerusalem. Let it be given them day by day without fail. Okay, meaning you always supposed to do this right here, man, right? And just like I was saying before early in the video, it has this written in the book of Job, how eggs are eating, right? Or it was eating by the ancient men of Israel, right? Or the chosen lineage, I should say, because Job was before the Israelites arrived in the world, right? He was before Jacob and Abraham and Isaac, right? And then it says here, can that which is unsavory be eating without salt? Okay, so if you're eating something without salt, it's unsavory, man. It don't have no taste. You're not even going to enjoy it. You're not going to want it, right? Or is there any taste in the white of an egg? Okay, so this is the reason why people should or choose to eat the white of the egg, because that's the part of the egg that you should be eating if you eat eggs. But just like I said, me personally, I don't eat eggs. You know what I'm saying? So for those who eat eggs, you're supposed to be eating the white of the egg only, right? Second Kings chapter 2. And he said, bring me a new curse and put salt therein. And they brought it to him. So once again, there's salt. The book of Zephaniah chapter 2. Therefore, as I live, saith the Most High power of whole creation, right? The sun, moon, and the stars, right? And all of what's created in the world, right? The power of Yisrael, surely Moab shall be as Sodom, and the children of Ammon, okay, which is the modern day Chinese and Japanese, right, as Gomorrah, even the breeding of nettles and salt pits, and a perpetual desolation. The residue of my people shall spoil them, and the remnant, okay, the remnant of my people shall possess them. Okay, so only the ones who's of the hopeful 1/3 elect, the ones who's keeping the law, statutes, the commandments of the Most High, man. That's who he's going to give the authority to, right, to do these things, right? The book of 2 Kings chapter 14. He slew of Edom in the valley of Salt 10,000, and took Salah by war, and called the name of it Joktheel unto this day. All right. Once again, there's salt being beneficial to us, for the slaying of Edom. All right. The book of Ezekiel chapter 16. And as for thy nativity, in the day thou was born, thy navel was not cut, neither was thou washed in the water to supple thee. Thou wast not salted at all, nor swaddled at all. All right. The book of Numbers, which is the last one here on the screen. And the border shall go down to Jordan, and the goings out of it shall be at the salt sea. This shall be your land with the coast thereof round about. So the Most High supplied the land with the salt sea for us, man, and said this right here, this shall be your land with the coast thereof round about, man. So just like I said early in the video, I'm going to relate how salt is very beneficial to us according to the biblical scripture, and how we should be consuming these things on a daily basis, man. Also with the definition of what iodine or iodine is, okay, or iodine, right? And then all of the benefits that it have on the body, okay, namely with the thyroid and the hormonal balance, okay, with your blood pressure, right, with your cholesterol, with your thinking, okay, your neurotransmitters, all right. You have also your cognitive thinking, your critical thinking skills, all right. And then also it helps the kids grow. It helps them become mentally developed, mentally smart, okay, even when they're in the mother's womb, man, right? And as it says here on the right side of my screen, it said, did you know that iodized salt helps pregnant women to avoid risk of stillbirth, preterm delivery, and stunted infant growth? Okay, So salt is very beneficial to you, man. Right? So it's time to let go of that false ideology and dogma and stigma and philosophy that salt is bad for you, man. Because I just proved to you through, normal, quick Google searches or whatever, and biblically, that salt is beneficial for you, man. All right. So it's either you're going to be a lover of truth or a lover of lies, man. Which it's going to be. If you call yourself a true believer of the God of Israel, the God of the Bible, the God of all of the heavens and earth, okay, and a follower of his son, which is the one and only true Hamashiach, which is the Christ of Nazareth, then you got to become a lover of truth, man, instead of a lover of lies, okay? And don't take things for face value, especially from your doctors if they're telling you things like this, man. If they're telling you that salt is literally bad for you and bad for your health, right? But just like I said before, too much of anything is bad for you, right? If you have too much salt, yes, that can be bad for you, but it's not literally the salt that's doing it. It's the sodium that's within the salt that's doing it. Okay. It's the element of the sodium. All right. And which is found in most processed foods, right? Which is your processed chicken nuggets and chicken patties, right? Your hamburgers or whatever, your frozen dinners, okay, your frozen pizza rolls or whatever like that. Anything that's considered pre-cooked and pre-packaged, man, right? Your cold cuts or whatever, right? If it's not naturally cut from meat, okay? So that's what's bad for you. It's the sodium that's within those things that's bad for you, man. That's going to be detrimental to your health, man. All right? So once again, hopefully that this video was enjoyable. Hopefully that it was edifying. And also, once again, this is your brother, Yahweh Yasharah, from the Sea Souls of Israel, the Rocks of Offense, and also the ambassadors for righteousness, the restorers of paths, and the repairs of the breach, dropping you this quick impromptu video. Until the next time, I say, peace out, shalom.